So, here we are again. Same old, same old. Not really anything new. We have like a pretty solid group of folks in this satsang. So I'm sure you already know all the basic things about Amrita Mandala, our way of training, about the subtle bodies, about emptiness, about light body, about such things. So I don't really need to go through any of that basic stuff. So let's start practicing. Again, already from the start, it's actually something that we can remind ourselves that forget about peaceful experience of meditation. Just stop seeking a peaceful, happy experience. Or whatever, we have, it's a defining characteristic of samsaric self-based existence that we want to be somewhere else where we are. And it's very powerful when we accept wherever we are, just as things are. Whether it is experience in sitting, where we suddenly accept that we might not feel actually that great, that there are some tensions, perhaps some agitation, irritation, anxiety, like traits of depression coming up. Or if it is something among activities, isn't it? We fight with what we are doing, what we have to do. We fight against it. But things become so much easier when you just accept. Just stop picking and choosing. Stopping picking and choosing between pleasant and unpleasant. Many years ago, in my Zen days, I remember Shodo Harada Roshi, who I studied with. He used to tell me that you must become an empty-minded idiot. Mushin or baka is the Japanese phrase. You must become like an empty-minded, stupid fool. And it means the same thing. Stopping preferences. It's the preferences that create conflicts, push and pull inside us. And we get tired and exhausted because of this constant push and pull. Even when many of you have children, small children, and it's a very demanding position, I know it. Very demanding daily life. And the way how I went about it is that even when it was exhausting, properly exhausting, you just throw yourself into it. What option do you have as a parent? What option do you have? But same with everything. Whether you have kids or if it's something else, whatever activities, work, hobbies, relationships, you just throw yourself completely into whatever you're doing, wherever you are, and forget about spirituality, forget about meditative experience. Because if you try to carry some pleasant, peaceful, meditative state with you, you try to carry your spiritual experience, whatever that would mean, with you, it will just split and it will make your experience worse. Isn't this obvious? Very easy to understand. We all have responsibilities. The shape and form of them and extent of them varies, but we all have some responsibilities. Whatever they are, just throw yourself completely in those responsibilities. Without that internal tug of war. And then, coming back a little bit to parenting children, you get exhausted. Or if you're, for example, you might have the same experience if you're an entrepreneur, you have a business, you run a business. So it will get exhausting and it will be draining. But then, whatever is available in terms of moments of rest, periods of rest, balancing energies, gathering energies that, when we get tired and exhausted, it affects our mind and our energetics. So energy, what is that word? Energies get scattered. Energy scatters, and that's how we get tired. So whatever is available for you throughout everyday life, you use it. But that internal fighting, internal struggle, that's needless. We, there are stories, I've seen it with my own eyes with Ammachi, the hugging saint, that she just keeps going and going and going without the need to rest, without the need to sleep, eat, drink. She can go on and on and on because she's not a samsaric being anymore. And there are, stories like that of Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche, other great masters in recent history, in ancient history. They were just able to go on and on and on. They were capable of doing things in a way, capable or able, which one is it, or is it both? Were able to do things that common samsaric beings are not able. But nevertheless, us as practicing bodhisattvas, as bodhisattvas, we aspire to attain Buddhahood in this life for the benefit of all beings. So that puts us as practitioner bodhisattvas into this position where there is not only the family and job and whatever other responsibilities in our lives, but we are also cultivators, practitioners. This means that we what is that word? We question, analyze those very limitations that limit us, and use these limitations for our growth and maturation. It is that simple. So in the place of struggles, conflicts, these mini wars that we experience internally, in the place of that, in the place of scattered energy, composed energy, balanced energy, clarity, not clarity, not like chaos. So little by little, instead of getting lost in those daily situations that are stressful, challenging, tiring, gradually being able to, it's kind of like there's this old saying of, I don't remember, it's probably both Taoist and Zen, but thinking of a bird that flies through the sky, it flies through the sky without leaving a trace. But as samsaric beings, as humans, are kind of like airplanes that leaves a vapor trail, that leaves a trace. And here what I mean by the trace is that trace of samsaric energy, which of course keeps karmic karma and habits and patterns in motion. Habits and patterns, samskaras, vasanas, kleshas. Buddhists usually speak of samskaras and kleshas. Hindus speak of samskaras and vasanas. But same thing. Living in this self-paced struggle mode, leaving a trace, leaving a trace, leaving a trace. Leaving a trace of mess. But gradually that changes, and we leave less and less of a trace. Less and less vapor trail. More and more balance, even in stressful, even in shocking situations. Shocking situations when common people, when they jump out of fear, get scared, shocked, upset. Samsaric people get so easily upset about the smallest of things, isn't it? But less and less of that. Less and less of compulsive reactivity. What do I mean by compulsive reactivity? Well, samsaric mind cannot help reacting to whatever impulses, ärsyket impulses, probably, to whatever impulses are coming from inside, from outside, in the mail, whatever impulses are coming. Samsaric mind cannot but react. Oh, so upset, so this is terrible, this is awful, and on it goes, brooding, endless brooding. less and less of that. Not because we deny that brooding from ourselves. That wouldn't work. That would just be suppressing our habits and patterns. Do you understand? Like forbidding ourselves, okay, I'm not gonna have this thought, I'm not gonna have this reaction, this emotion. I'm just not gonna have it. That's not the practice. But when we see through our entityness, see through our selfing, and in the place of self-belief, we don't see, we experience less and less this self-based experience, and instead have a selfless experience. What does it mean to have selfless experience? It is not a special experience at all, not a spiritual experience, not a meditative experience. Sometimes I think that people who don't really understand selflessness, which is a synonym for emptiness, to be correct terminologically, selflessness, anatta, and emptiness, shunyata, are not the same thing, because anatta is a teaching of the Hinayana vehicle, and emptiness is a term of the Mahayana vehicle, and there is that difference in range, that difference between 6 bhumis and 10 bhumis. But they both terms point to the same principle. But people who don't really understand selflessness or emptiness often think that it's some kind of special experience. But it is not. It is rare in this samsaric world. It is rare to have a human being, a practitioner, a bodhisattva who has significantly advanced in that recognition, in the insight into selflessness or emptiness. It is rare in that sense, but the experience, the recognition itself is not special. It's kind of like, well, maybe we can think of this analogy: drunkards and sober people. People who drink, who use certain different intoxicating substances and are high or drunk, compared to sober people. Of course, if you've been drunk for being like a raging alcoholic for 10 years, 20 years, then it's kind of a new experience to suddenly spend your days sober and not drink. But of course, soon you realize that, oh, this is I'm just sober. Simply here, simply present. And when we advance or even master the teaching of emptiness, then it is pointless to discuss even of being present. Presence, being present is not a thing. It is not some enlightened platform that is higher than the samsaric platforms where you land on being present. That's the whole point of the doctrine of Shunyata. It is not a platform. It's not a state. It's just clarity and sobriety in the middle of all mental and emotional functions and activities. Effortless presence, selfless presence. And when we recognize this selfless basic nature of ours, there is a popular phrase, be here now. But when we recognize our basic nature, there is no here and no now. That is the whole point of it. Because to be here and to be now, if your mind rests in selfless natural state, you automatically realize that this phrase, being here and now, they are nothing but empty words, meaningless words. Not meaningless, that they don't really point to anything special. But if the mind is still caught in sense of self, which means if it is still trapped in space, three-dimensional space, if it is trapped in the sense of self in passing of time. So if you're still trapped in space and time, then you will automatically, unavoidably, get a little confused about being here and now. Okay, I will now just be present. How does it feel? How does it feel to be present? Oh, now I'm present. Feels kind of great, good. Much better than when not being present. Or I am present right now. Now. Do you understand? If the self gets self itself, it's caught, trapped in this spatial experience and trapped in time. That's what self is. It's a bit perhaps difficult way to say it, but in other words, it simply means what I'm talking about is this sense of self that we have in all shape and form. Selfing, that's selfing. That trace that it leaves the trace because the self exists in space and time. Oops. But when we see selflessness and realize emptiness, there is no space and no sense of time passing. That's why you have heard me use the term that this basic state, our basic nature, Buddha nature, it's non-dimensional or zero-dimensional. It is not a spatial experience. This is, and it's timeless. Timeless. Beyond space and time. So first we familiarize with this selfless mind, gradually go beyond spatial limitations, limitations set by passing of time. And that's how the selfing, it dissolves into this absolute, this basic nature. But the same with the two other bodies, not only causal body, but also astral body and physical body, to make that whole process complete. So it's a process of, when I say becoming absolute, it sounds like a bit weird, might have some weird associations, becoming absolute. But absolute is not something like a cosmically huge or cosmically large. Absolute simply means that this basic nature of ours, basic nature of everybody else, basic nature of all beings. But when we become this absolute, it doesn't mean that we would somehow become giants or something like this. Do you see what I'm saying? We don't become superheroes or get superpowers. It's simply that gradually we less and less exist like all other samsaric beings, and through becoming our true nature, this absolute, then all of our mind and tissues, non-physical and physical, change and transform. Taste of tea is the same. Taste of good meal is still the taste of good meal. But the noise and confusion gone. Noise and confusion gone. And that's what it means in the Heart Sutra, which is the most important sutra of Mahayana. Well, it's actually not most important sutra, but it is very important because it is Pragya Paramita Sutra. Pragya means wisdom, Paramita means perfection. So perfection of wisdom teachings. And perfection of wisdom is all about realizing shunyata, emptiness. And at the end of Heart Sutra, there is like a short one-page version of it. It says, Gate gate para gate parasam gate bodhi svaha. Gone gone, gone beyond, completely gone beyond. Behold, sees awakening. Gone where? This is like a metaphor in Buddha Dharma that we are crossing a stream. First we are on the shore of samsara, and then we start crossing in a vehicle over that stream, over a body of water, until we arrive on the other shore. So going to the other shore. Gone, gone, gone beyond, completely gone beyond, left behind samsaric existence. Bodhisvaha, just awakening. Just sobriety. Effortlessly present. But like I said, it is when they have in Amrita Mandala we have 22 people who have perfected 10 bhumis, and others are on the way of perfecting the bhumis. But it is pointless after that. It is really meaningless to speak of being present. It is our natural state. It is not some like a how do you say? I don't know if it's correct to say this in English, but it's not like a special merit that you get, like a diploma or some kind of a medal. Soldiers, they get these war medals that are placed on their chest in the uniform. It's not like a medal that you wear. Oh, I'm present. I'm wearing this medal. Can you all see? I have this medal on the chest. Pragya Paramita medal. And why it isn't like that? Because it is our nature. It is not special to have 5 fingers. And that's the beauty of Mahayana Dharma. Ceasing of notions. But there is more to Buddha Dharma than that. More to Buddha Dharma than emptiness. A short reminder. So Shakyamuni Buddha turned the wheel of Dharma in 3 stages. 1, he gave the teachings of the Hinayana vehicle, selflessness, kleshas. And then in the second turning of the wheel, he expanded it a little bit to emptiness and compassion. So compassion, that we are practicing bodhisattvas who aspire to attain Buddhahood to benefit others, and are committed to work for the benefit of others endlessly. It's a single most, like the biggest difference between Hinayana and Mahayana. That motivation doesn't exist in Hinayana. There are Buddhist monks, Hinayana arhats, who have finished that path, who help tirelessly others, give consultation, give advice when asked, give teachings, give food to poor, and help people, ill people, old people, whoever come to them. But it is still different. So in Hinayana, it simply doesn't, this bodhisattvahood, it doesn't exist in the way it does in Mahayana. Same spirit, but different depth of commitment. And it is because of that depth, complete, total commitment, why Buddhahood is possible only through the bodhisattvayana, the vehicle of the bodhisattvas. But yes, there is more to Buddha nature and Buddhahood than emptiness. This third turning of the wheel, the third turning of the wheel of Dharma teachings, of Buddha nature. Buddha nature is a specific term, which is Tathagata Garbha. Tathagata Garbha in Sanskrit. The way how Buddha nature teachings and practices relate to Amrita Mandala method are through the astral body and physical body practices. What happens when we release selfishness, gross selfishness, and trauma into this absolute? What happens when we release stuff from our astral body, and our astral body gradually more and more embodies the absolute? You could say that a realization of emptiness is, in a sense, it is embodied, but you could also say that it's kind of like it liberates the mind. But when we realize the absolute, establish the absolute in the astral body, then it is a very different type, much more physical way of embodying the absolute. but it is the same nature. It's kind of just like through different lens. Realizing the absolute in the causal body, it's like one kind of lens. In the astral body, different kind of lens. Through the physical body, again, different type of lens, but it's the same basic nature. Basic nature of what? Well, we already discussed clarity, sobriety. But with the astral body, when it opens up, I'm sure, if not all, some of you at least have had cessations of the astral karma, habits and patterns, cessation of habits and patterns of the astral body. And it's like, again, it becomes a bit pointless. You know, these definitions, verbal definitions become pointless, but how you can compare it to the selfishness, selfish habits, trauma-based habits, is that in the place of those, just radiation of basic goodness, a radiation of natural ease, basic goodness, natural ease. And it is that simple. Sure, you can, you could say that it's embodying love, kindness, compassion. But again, love, kindness, compassion, we all, every one of us already knows what it means, what these characteristics are. They are not some lofty, spiritual, grand, cosmic, magical features. That only the chosen few have access to. So when we speak of love, kindness, basic goodness, these are neither special experiences. We can see kindness, love, compassion, basic goodness in some people momentarily. It is simply establishing that totally in body and mind. And you could say, if you wanted, that it is special in this world only because it is rare. Little hints and traces of this basic goodness that all beings have, all human beings have, we can see everywhere. But extremely rare to see it being embodied, lived 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That is extremely rare. Mahasiddhas are extremely rare. But again, I just kind of want to burst the bubbles as I create them. When I say the term Mahasiddha, which means like a great accomplished master, it is not doesn't make somebody special. Different to others, yes, different. But not special. Because it's just basic goodness, clarity shining through that person, us. There is something interesting. I don't have the quote at hand, but my favorite. So Shakyamuni Buddha taught the Dharma in 3 stages. First turning, second turning, and third turning. And then after him over centuries, actually quite few traditions, quite few masters got past emptiness, realized emptiness in full scope, and then had access, were able to begin seeing and perceiving what comes after emptiness, what Shakyamuni Buddha, what he pointed at, what he pointed out with the third turning teachings. And one of those masters, the main one I would say, the main one who really expounded and understood the third turning teachings was a Tibetan master who lived maybe 13th century. I might remember his years wrongly, but he was this very fat man, very fat monk. Dolpopa was his name. Dolpopa. Pa means like a man, masculine. If it was Ma, it would be a lady. But man from Dolpo, Dolpopa. Dolpo is a place in Tibet, a monastery there. I think it was a Shakya monastery before. Dolpopa was a Shakyapa, belonged to the Shakya school before he started the Jonang school. But it is, so yeah, there aren't many Buddhist masters who really experientially have access to the third turning Dharma, the third wheel. But there are some. Some Zen masters, some Dzogchen masters, and then Dolpopa, Taranatha, to mention a few. But after emptiness, I would say, it really only begins to gradually become apparent what immense beauty there is in life. how beautiful everything is. Also, something interesting I would recommend you to get. It's translation by Cyrus Stearns. His book of Dolpopa's writings. It's published by, I think, Chadra Publications. This 500 pages thick book. But he goes to a great extent of really grinding the details of this post-emptiness doctrine. Personally, I'm not that academically or scholarly oriented, so those bits I'm not that interested, haven't been that interested about the fine philosophical doctrinal details. But he also speaks about this in a very, how do you say, enchanting and attractive manner, down to earth manner, just like some Zen masters and Taoists do. And what I mean by that is that fascination of nature, fascination of things around us. We can really see how beautiful the sky is when there's sky in us. We can see how beautiful a flower is, a bed of flowers is, when we are the bed of flowers. We can see the beauty of little everyday things when the beauty is in us. This is what Dolpopa speaks about. Taoists, Zen masters. Some Zen masters, not all, just some of them. And that's the rainbow, energetically speaking. That's the rainbows radiating from us. We all are the source of light, source of blessings, immense, limitless, without limitations. A whole body, a whole being, radiating sweet nectar, sweet light, nice light. Radiating balance and ease, effortlessly. That is the third turning, Dharma, of Buddha Shakyamuni, of Dolpopa, of others. Light body, rainbow body. No highest teaching than that, no highest Dharma. no highest truth, no reality more complete. It's that simple. When you say it like that, it kind of feels like, isn't it, that, oh, this is cheating in a sense. That it's that simple. But it is. So may all beings discover who they are. May all beings find peace and happiness and clarity of mind. May all beings discover the beauty in themselves and the beauty that is everywhere around them, in other beings around them. Why? Because it's possible. Because it is natural. For no other reason. It's not a special reason. It's not a reality of a chosen few, of special group of people. It's the reality of all beings. But sentient beings are marked by delusion, suffering, which is why we practice the Dharma. Have a bodhisattva vehicle, bodhisattva yana, leading to Buddhahood. Becoming Buddhas for what purpose? In Buddha nature itself, there is no purpose in that. No meaning in that. In the sense, again, like, okay, now I land on this platform of this state of Buddhahood, and now I have lots of meaning in my life. But the meaning comes in what is the meaning of the sun? The sun radiates light and heat. And that's it. That's the nature of the sun. Exactly the same way it is for Buddhas. For you and I, after Buddhahood has been attained. When distortions, internal obstacles have been removed. We become like the sun, radiating light, radiating heat, blessings, effortlessly radiating. For what purpose? to show others, to help others to cross the stream, get over the stream of samsara. Over the stream of confusion and suffering. So interrupting samsara, interrupting it. Interrupting it in the minds of those who want it, who understand that their suffering, pain is caused fundamentally by their minds, by their selfing. Buddhas have no other purpose than to be examples, 1, teach, 2, demonstrate, show those who have merit, meaning those who are ready and willing, who want, who understand the basic noble truths, that samsara is caused in their minds, not because they have too little money, because they are not handsome enough, not successful enough, not that they don't have enough whatever external sources of pleasure. That's what merit means. Having merit means understanding the root cause of suffering and remembering it through the path. Not forgetting. Well, we all, to a degree, forget. We momentarily forget, and then we blame outer circumstances and other people for our suffering. And to some extent it's true. If somebody's busting your balls, is mean to you, or says irritating things to you all the time, yes, it is not skillful, not nice for somebody to say that. But there is also the thing in our minds that self or selfishness, trauma-based hurt, through which we react to all these stimuli coming from outside of us. So momentarily we can forget the root cause of suffering, being sense of self. But if we really want, if we really need to see the reality, to become Buddhas, then we quickly remember, oh, I apply, I need to now see through these habits and patterns and return, re-establish recognition of my basic state. So I wanted to come back to that to make it more relevant and understandable, that bit about becoming living Buddhas. In Mahayana Dharma there is no other purpose for the path than for the practitioner, committed practitioner with sufficient merit to attain, to become a living Buddha in this body, in this life. There is no other purpose for the path. And I would say, like I have many times, that if a training method, be it Amrita Mandala or any other Mahayana or Tantrayana training method, if there is not that there should be at least one single fully attained person, a Mahasiddha per generation, in each generation. Otherwise there is something wrong, something off. And as you know, I've been talking about these problems and mistakes in Dharma, in methods, faulty instructions for many years, analyzing these things. It all boils down to the fact that, you know, there is so many mistakes and problems and bad instructions in the world of Dharma, that people don't really understand what the purpose of Mahayana and Tantrayana is. They get lost, kind of lost in translation. They get lost in the world of confusing instructions and commentaries. This shouldn't be how it is, but it has gotten to a very bad state. The Mahayana Dharma, Tantrayana Dharma, a very bad state. And a sign of that is that, you know, when we think of the number of Mahayana and Tantrayana lineages existing in the world today, you can't find but perhaps a handful of Mahasiddhas worldwide. Mahasiddhas meaning perfected causal body emptiness and perfected astral body, light body. Maybe a handful. Maybe. So it is too rare. What we're doing in Amrita Mandala is kind of pressing I remember, do you remember in old video recorders, VCR players, there was this, you know, reset button. It had a counter, like it counted as it played a videotape. It counted these numbers, and then you would reset when you wanted to know where your favorite bit of the movie or a music video was. You might push the reset, so you knew where you had to rewind or go forward in the tape. Maybe some of you are so young you don't remember this, but well, I'm not that old either. But the point is that with Amrita Mandala, we are kind of pushing a reset. Stop the nonsense, cut the horseshit, and come back to the essential meaning of the Dharma. Why? Because it is not natural for practitioners to practice all their lives and die still as basically samsaric beings, hoping for next rebirth and next lives as a practitioner, which may or may not happen. It is not correct. It is completely wrong. Completely. And this needs to be corrected. Not one teacher can correct it for everybody, but it is astounding, shocking really, that there are so few who even try to do that. That is shocking. Alarming, actually. What the hell is the point of having such so-called great methods and traditions when there is no sign of this greatness, when there are no living Mahasiddhas? What is truly authentic Dharma and what is not? This is the question teachers and lineage holders of our time should be asking, but extremely few are. They just keep doing whatever they do without asking the central questions that Buddha Shakyamuni told them to ask. But in this Sangha, we ask these questions. We do like Buddha Shakyamuni instructed us to do, advised us to do. A Dharma method needs to work and it needs to deliver, how do you say, deliver the goods. Otherwise you can throw it in the garbage and throw all the preciousness of having a so-called 2,500 years long lineage with it. I'm not at all ridiculing the many lineage masters who I'm here referring to, but I'm saying that there is this false pride, false pride based on these external factors, secondary factors. If emptiness hasn't been realized, if this true self, like Dolpopa calls it, it's an interesting coming from a Buddhist master. He speaks of true self that can be realized after emptiness, post-emptiness. So if there are no individuals, practitioners, teachers who have realized this twofold Buddhahood of emptiness and true self, throw it away. For the sake of all beings. For the sake of all beings. all beings not separate but together. Not as oneness, but together, connected, interconnected. Love and compassion is always needed in the world. But in the world of Dharma, I think what is needed more than love and compassion is sobriety and the faculty of discrimination that comes with sobriety. Faculty of discrimination. There's a bodhisattva archetype for that in Mahayana, and that's Manjushri. Manjushri. I can't actually remember what Manju means, but Shri means holy, holy. Manjushri. Manjushri and Avalokiteshvara are the two main deities of the Mahayana pantheon. Buddha Shakyamuni is the Buddha, and then the two main bodhisattvas are Avalokiteshvara and Manjushri. Avalokiteshvara being the archetype of compassion, and Manjushri relating to the heart, and Manjushri the archetype of sobriety, clarity, and the discrimination that comes with it. And that's why Manjushri, when you see his statues, he's holding a sword. Sword that cuts through. That blade, that's the blade of discrimination. But you won't have a sharp blade unless your mind rests in sobriety. In other words, unless your mind rests in direct vision of emptiness of all things. And here we come to the basic problem in the world of Dharma today. Insight is limited. There's too little insight, too little wisdom, too little discrimination. And no matter what you try to do, it can't be fixed in any other ways. May all beings be free, may all beings be happy, may all beings find true rest, changeless rest. And may our confusions, delusions, pains, hurts, and even physical ailments and physical illnesses be released into this basic pure nature. for the benefit of all, to benefit all equally, all those who agree with us, all who disagree with us, who are kind, who are mean, who are something else, whoever they are, wherever they are, all may all benefit equally. Feel your physical body from head to toe to fingers. Feel the breath moving in and out. And feel the breath in the lower belly, behind the navel, inside the gut. And then let's chant Bodhisattva vows and basic prayers. I vow to liberate all sentient beings. I vow to end all self-based confusion. I vow to exercise the Dharma that frees. I vow to attain the great perfection. I vow to liberate all sentient beings. I vow to end all self-based confusion. I vow to exercise the Dharma that frees. I vow to attain the great perfection. I vow to liberate all sentient beings. I vow to end all self-based confusion. I vow to exercise the Dharma that frees. I vow to attain the great perfection. I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in his pure land. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. I take refuge in the Guru. I take in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. I take refuge in the Guru. I take refuge in His pure land. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. I am the Guru. I'm in the Pure Land. I am the Buddha. I am the Dharma. I am the Sangha. I am the Guru. I'm in the Pure Land. I am the Buddha. I am the Dharma. I am the Sangha. I am the Guru. I'm in the Pure Land. I am the Buddha. I am the Dharma. I am the Sangha. May all beings be free. May all beings be free. May all beings be free. All beings are free. All May all beings receive my accumulated merit. I dedicate the merit to the refuge and to all sentient beings. All right. Palm to palm. Stretch a bit, flex a bit. Oh.